Hey everyone, thank you for those who could join us tonight. We'll get started here. I don't know about you, but it really started to rain hard here right now. Enjoy that. We haven't had enough of that this summer. So hope you guys are all having a great summer. And I just wanted to take an opportunity to tell you that I think that the last minutes didn't upload correctly, so I'm going to have to upload those again from the last meeting. But suffice it to say, I will see what happened on that. I just couldn't see them uploaded. Sometimes with this new computer, it's not as easy as my old one. But anyway, okay. Welcome everyone. I'm Lou Raiders. I'm your current chair. Tracy Winchester just got on. She's our vice chair. Councilwoman Sawyer is our councilwoman who's there she is, our appointing councilwoman, and other people are joining here. We'll get started anyway. So with that, I think what I'd like to do is just jump right in to unless anybody has comments on this agenda, we'll jump right in and turn it first over to Councilwoman Sawyer.
It doesn't look like anyone has any comments. Hi, everyone. Great to see you. I think we're on the agenda to do an update on the General Improvement District conversations in a few minutes. So just want to say hi to everyone, let you know what's going on downtown. It has been a very rough couple of weeks. So if you have not been getting answers as quickly as you expect, I apologize for that. We have been having a really hard time getting answers from staff, which is understandable because many of them sat around for an entire 2 weeks thinking maybe I don't even have a job next week, so I'm not going to respond to this email. Which is really, it's been very hard. It's been really unfortunate. And the layoffs are finished. There were 169 people who were laid off. And so we're going to move forward from there. Budget season is coming where we will, those layoffs and elimination of vacant positions ended up saving us about $100 million. So we are going to have about $100 million of budget cuts that we are looking at in 2026. So that's going to be a really tough conversation that is coming up. And other things that are going on, our annual mailer is at the printer and should be in your mailboxes just after Labor Day. So everyone take a look for that. We always ask, we give everyone all fall to respond to our annual survey. We hope that you all will do that and share with us your thoughts on things that are concerns and joys that you have in the neighborhood. We use that to shape our annual work plan. So please fill out that community survey. You've got a long time to do it before December 31st. And there are some legislative updates, but nothing that you guys need to know about right this second. I think we're all just sort of gearing up for budget season right now. So that's what's going on downtown. It's great to see everyone. Thanks for having me. Happy to answer any questions you have.
I do want to weigh in on one thing, and by the way, I do know Stuart just put in the chat that he's going to go to the BRT. We had a conflict with the BRT, so Stuart, I'm thrilled that you're going to be there. I'll join after I'm off of this, but so thank you for doing that. I did want to just report that Cherry Creek North Neighborhood Association took a position against the QI patio being reinstalled on Columbine. We had just had so many issues with that particular structure. So we would not have been able to get that to a vote without Councilwoman Sawyer. So I want to thank you for that. The vote was 10-3 against allowing that structure to go back into the right of way. So it was, I think, considered by especially those people who live right across the street and who live in the bid, a big win since they had a hard time even getting to their parking structure. But as a neighborhood organization that reached out for some help on this, I just want to thank Councilwoman Sawyer for helping us get that done. I always feel bad when we can't kind of accommodate everybody. And I know many of us love Quality Italian and really, care deeply about the people that work there and the people that run it. But it just wasn't the right place for that particular patio. But I did want to just make sure everybody knew that that vote had been taken, that we did a lot of work at CCNNA and through our committees to get that done. So thank you, Councilwoman Sawyer, for
Yeah,
helping us with
absolutely.
that.
Thank you, Lou, and to the entire team. It really was a community effort, a lot of engagement from a lot of neighbors, and I was happy to represent you and call it off to vote no. And I was pleased that other council members heard the community and the concerns. I think we all want to support small businesses and all of our businesses, and we want to have outdoor patio space. It's great, but they're not appropriate in every location. And this was just one of those locations that has just caused community safety issues when it was there before. And, it's unfortunate because we really appreciate Quality Italian. We love Quality Italian. They are an asset to our community, but also this was, at the end of the day, a real proven community safety issue. And so I was happy to do that, and I'm glad that it worked out.
Great. Thanks again for that.
Yep.
So I know that how many people here are going to try to go to the BRT? I know Stuart is, Bill Tanner is. Okay, that's great. Thank you guys. We'll continue to watch that, and I believe they record those sessions, and those will be up. But Stuart, did you have anything you wanted to report to the steering committee before you have to head off to that meeting?
No, nothing really. I guess just two things. We are seeing some increases in frequency on our bus service. So that's a positive. It's taken a while to see these improvements from RTD. I'll provide more information about that in the future. And then I just kind of had a question for our councilwoman. I just wanted to make sure we're all clear on the bond projects that the First and Steel intersection is in, but the bike path in front of the country club is not part of the bond.
Yeah, that's correct, Stuart. So bonds, as you know, have to go to voters. It's been referred to you all. You will vote on it in November. I'm really pleased with the bond projects that ended up in District 5 in the community. First and University is in as one of the bonds. It's about $5.9 million dedicated to the intersection of First and University. There was a proposal for a bike lane. It's in the Denver Moves Cherry Creek plan that would go from University to Downing along First Avenue in front of the country club. It was discussed as a potential bond project. It is not in the bond. And the reason for that is because the bond has to go to voters. And that proposal would have cut down the median on First Avenue to allow for bike lanes, and that is historic, that's designated historic and covered by Historic Denver. And so it's pretty contentious amongst community members. There are some residents who feel very strongly that it's unfortunate that that would have to be cut down, but that is the way to make sure that bikers can safely get from University to the Cherry Creek Trail at Downing. And that is fair. There is another very strong contingent of the community that feels very strongly that something that has been historically designated needs to remain, at the cost of the safety to bikers. And that is also totally fair. So with it sort of being contentious and there being two sort of very clear sides to this conversation, it did not end up being a bond project because it's just so contentious that the bond, it was unclear that we would be able to get it done in 6 months. We want people to vote yes on the bond because there are fantastic projects in there that affect our community, all the things. So the project that is in the bond is the intersection of First and University at 5.9 million.
Great. Thank you.
And just to clarify, I think, Stuart, you said First and Steel, but it's First and University. First and Steel did not.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Oh my
It
goodness.
was in Denver Moves, so you were right because it's still somewhere it's on a plan. It just didn't get
Yes.
funded in this bond in this bond go round.
Thank
So,
you for correcting that.
no, sorry. Okay, so with that, I'd like to turn it over. I think Richard, we'll get an update from you and from I think Mike. Mike, I saw you here. Get a quick update from you all on what is happening right now, and then Richard, we're going to come back to you for our discussion about some construction issues. So, Richard, you want to start, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Lou. Just a few things for us. We're wrapping up our landscaping projects for the year. We just finished Fillmore. Now we just have a few areas of touch up throughout the neighborhood. After that, we're going to go into the beginning of the installation of the holiday lights. So we'll start wrapping trunks in September. And a few events coming up for the neighborhood to know about. We do have the final concert of our summer concert series. This will be an Eagles cover band, the long run on September 11th out on Fillmore. And then we have Creektoberfest, which will be an Oktoberfest celebration in partnership with the German American Chamber. So that's going to be September 20th and 21st on Fillmore. And
Great.
that would be my update.
Thank you. Thank you. Mike, do you want to give us an update on the mall?
I'd love to. Thanks, Lou. Couple of quick updates for you guys. I know we talked a lot about some of the tenants last time we chatted. I'm not going to go through that long list because we've had 28 either, improvements or expansions or new move-ins. But a couple I did want to spotlight that are actually recent openings. We had Aldo open a couple of weeks ago in their new location over by the children's play area. We got Saint Laurent opening up in their brand new gorgeous store tomorrow morning. It's about twice the size of the other store, and it's just spectacular. So next time you guys are through the center, highly recommend you take a look at it. They're going to be upstairs, right in front of the RH store on the upper level across from Hermes. And then in other news, we've got IWC and Rolex both under construction right now. These are part of the expanded 1916. You guys probably remember it as Hyde Park, but they've changed their name to 1916 Company. It's part of their expanded footprint on the upper level up there. In addition to that, we've got a brand new Sephora store that should be opening here shortly. And then the last one that I wanted to talk about was the replacement for CPK, which I'm not sure if you guys seen the news yet, but we've got Ashton Agave coming online there, which is another one. It's similar to the Blue Oyster across the street in North. So lots of great stuff going on. With some of the special projects we got going on, believe it or not, we've already started our holiday planning. So we're knee deep in that. We're going to have I don't know if you guys had a chance to come out for our tree lighting last year. I loved it. That was actually my first weekend I was at the property. We are trying to even plus that up more than we did last year with some exciting changes for that. So that's going to be the 15th of November, and we're already working on that plan. Then lastly, I want to send a big thank you to this entire group for the support for Kids Club. We had our best year yet. The last event was just last Wednesday, and it was phenomenal. Turnout was varied anywhere between 2 times to 3 times the size of crowds that we'd had last year. It's just great to see that many kids and parents in the center and enjoying the free program that we had. So thank you again for everyone on this call for getting the word out. I think you guys were key to really supporting that program. So thank you, Lou.
Great. Thank you very much. It's just wonderful that you're doing the program. So the more we can help the success of that, the better. I did just want to say that there was an announcement that came out this afternoon about the redesign and the work that's being done on the parkway next to the bike trail and the creek. So we'll get that information out to everyone so that everyone has it for their constituents and make sure everyone knows that that is going to affect a little bit of traffic, and it already is, I think, really, as you drive down that way. But that is starting. And secondly, I do also want to just acknowledge that, in fact, the hearing that we had on QI was the night that a lot of the city staff members lost their jobs. So we want to just acknowledge that that is a big loss. And in fact, we were just talking about the fact that, our hang on one second. Can you just get her out of here, please? I've got a puppy chewing on my desk, so it's a little annoying. The furloughs have also impacted workers. They're unpaid days. So we had a furlough day for the people that were picking up our compost the other day. And it just occurred to me that, these people, they're not the highest paid people in the city. And of course, everybody that is forced to take a furlough day loses a little bit of money, and it hurts some people more than others. So I don't know about other people in the neighborhood, but we always try to, at holidays, remember the people that work for us. And maybe it would be kind to remember those people if you can catch them and give them maybe a little support, a little tip or something like that. It's really tough on the people that do this work for us every week. And we so appreciate that Denver even has the robust programs that it has for composting and recycling and trash. So just remember, there are a lot of people hurting right now, not just those laid off, but those who are furloughed from time to time. It makes a big impact for the budgets, for their family budget. So I would just ask everybody, please, to keep them in mind. So I think I'm going to rearrange this just a little bit. We'll start with Cherry Creek West update, and then I'm going to see if we can get a quick update from Jamie and then come back. But she's not on right now, so I'm going to give her a quick text. But
no, she'll be on in 1 second. She was just on a Rhino JID meeting that ended at 5:15, so she'll be here any second.
Okay. I told her I'd text her when we're ready.
Yeah. No, we're
Okay.
fine. But I'm happy to start if you wanna.
Okay, well let's finish up quickly with Cherry Creek West update.
Yeah, Marielle
thanks.
Bowden. Yeah, Marielle
Thanks
Bowden,
for
Director
being
of
here.
Development. Yeah, with East West Partners. So just a quick update. We are subject to the Cherry Creek North Design Advisory, board and all the guidelines there. We have a different sub area. So we had our first submittal to them and went in front of them on August 13th for enabling and road work. It's really not that, sexy. It's mostly just infrastructure and roadway work, but that was approved. So that's sort of our first approval. And we'll be continuing design and following up there with additional approvals, hopefully in the near future.
Terrific.
Just the big updates. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I think Jamie just texted that she's having a little trouble getting on. So
I think I see her.
She's here.
I'm on, Lou.
there.
I just
There, you
got
got
in.
it. Okay, great. I was trying to forward that link to you again. So we'll turn it over for an update on the JID discussions.
Well,
Okay.
Yeah, Lou, before Jamie gets started with an update on what's going on and the work that we have done over the last month, I want to just sort of talk to you all about a real concern that we are having, and that is this intentional spreading of misinformation in the community. It is very concerning. And what is even more concerning about it is the tenor of the emails that Jamie and I are receiving, that I know Lou has received, that I have seen Linda receive, that I have seen Robin and Cherry Creek East receive. It's really concerning. It is okay to disagree. It is not okay to be verbally abusive, and it is not okay to intentionally spread misinformation. This process is, right in the middle. It is one where we have heard from a number of people that they need more information and want more clarity before they share an opinion. And that is great. That is what we're doing over the course of this fall, and Jamie will talk a little bit more about that. But the misinformation sharing is incredibly inappropriate. The name calling is incredibly inappropriate. The being verbally abusive, not only to me who signed up for it, but to a consultant who's working with us, to volunteers like Lou and Linda and Robin, who are volunteering their time in support of our neighborhoods in Cherry Creek. That has to stop. It is not acceptable. And so I want to just make sure that I am very clear about that, because it has escalated over the last little while into something that is very, very concerning. And so I want to just address that before we get started. I will tell you, for example, we had a situation this last week. I had my in-person office hours in Cherry Creek, and a resident sent out an email to community members with the incorrect time and the incorrect location. And then we received very verbally abusive emails about how we didn't show up. And that is a problem because we were there from 11 to 12:30, which is the time that was stated at the Aviano Coffee on Second Avenue, which was also stated. But that information was incorrect and it was sent out incorrectly, and became truth to the community. That is not acceptable. So I want to just be very clear as we go into this update, that I'm asking for your help. These are your friends and neighbors who are behaving this way, who are saying these awful things to volunteers in the community. You can disagree, you can be angry. You do not get to verbally abuse staff members and volunteers. That's all I have to say. Thanks. Take it away, Jamie.
Thanks, Amanda. So I do want to provide a recap of what as the meetings that have been held over the last week and a half. I will say that for all of the continual barrage of emails of misinformation that are coming through for community members, which I am doing my best to respond to one by one, to correct and clarify. And I have gotten some emails back from people saying thank you, and others who are just not open to hearing facts. We had 4 fantastic listening sessions where people were largely well behaved and contributed. And so that was very exciting. And I think the sessions went exactly as planned. We basically spent the bulk of the time going through and asking those present to shed some light and provide some deeper context into what does your neighborhood mean when it says security? What does your neighborhood mean when it says we want more street lighting? We talked geography, we talked specifics of service, we talked, got into the nuance of things and had a lot of different people contributing and sharing their perspectives. Also, on why this was important for them to explore and why they thought this was an important initiative. So it just reinforced to me that even though there's a lot of negative and loud voices out there, the people that are genuinely interested in this are coalescing as well. And I have gotten quite a few emails from those folks, and they've called me and they want to talk more and in greater detail about how they can be helpful, how they can spread the word, how they can contribute to the success of this project. So it was a great start. We had a very large group for the Cherry Creek North. We had a decent sized group for Cherry Creek East. We only had 1 for the Triangle and 1 for the bid residents, but those were both extremely fruitful conversations with people who are supportive and who are willing to go be foot soldiers, to get us into other property owners, other residents, other stakeholders, and have conversations. So we're nurturing those discussions to kind of expand our reach in those areas. So all in all, I feel really good about the first round. The next round of engagement is going to be in September, and we'll be having community sessions. Postcards are being mailed out to all stakeholders in the areas. We'll be having community sessions for each of the sub areas again, in person. And the focus will be on inviting community to come in and even drill down further. We're going to start to get some initial pricing and things like that on some of these. For those, we'll have maps available so people can actually pinpoint issue areas, or here's a route I'd like to see a circulator, or here's the block where the lights just aren't bright enough for us, or an unsafe pedestrian crossing. So we're going to deep dive into that. I've had lots of folks email me directly and offer to be table captains. So the intent of this is that neighbors will actually serve as table captains at the safety table or the lighting table or what so be it, to facilitate discussion with their neighbors about those issue areas. So I feel generally pretty good. I To Amanda's point, we had a meeting this week and I did suggest that DPD be requested for, I'm most concerned about Cherry Creek North. We already know, because we have been accidentally copied on some emails, that there's continual effort to try to be disruptive. And so people are going to be showing up in force to be disruptive for the Cherry Creek North one at a minimum. So we will have to be prepared to handle that. But the intent is to try to continue to grow these discussions, both offline and during these meetings. We'll come back as a working group in October to vet the feedback we heard from the community and develop a draft plan. And then we're getting ready to just finalizing some details. There'll be another round of full community engagement that we send postcards to all stakeholders again in November and December. And then the intent is wherever we land at that point, a final plan would be developed, assuming there's enough support to move forward. And we would do a final round of kind of big community engagement to share out the plan in January, February. So we're still moving ahead and doing our best. And Amanda, is there anything else I missed high level that you want to make sure I cover?
I don't think so. I do think it's important to note, particularly in the Triangle, there aren't very many property owners. So a lot of those meetings that we have had have been with the small number of property owners that there are over there. But I do think it's really important for us to get residents and other stakeholders involved. So if you know anyone in the Triangle and you're willing to reach out to them, we would really appreciate that connection so that we make sure that we're hearing all voices in all ways. So if you know anyone in the bid, same thing. As you guys know, my mom lives in the bid and my mom is terrified. She's too afraid based on some of the behavior of her neighbors. She is not comfortable, doing something to host an event or to pull people together because she's afraid of how people will treat her. And I know that we have heard that from a number of different people who are who might be supportive, who might need more information, and who are afraid to speak up because of the bullying that they are receiving from their neighbors. I think that's it.
Yeah, I will add in the Triangle, the gentleman that was on the meeting is a resident there in Griffith, so he's working on getting us set up with a inside the building kind of opportunity to talk to those residents, and going to reach out to one of the other complexes too to set up the same. So we will shift and move and do what we need to do to get the information out there, and kind of open to all things right now, just to make sure, like I said, the accurate details are getting out into the community. Any questions for me from the larger group? Okay. All right. Well, you know where to find me if you need me. Thanks.
I
Lots
have
more
a
to come.
question. Sorry, Jamie, I have a question. I'm up here in Minnesota and they're blowing the leaves. So when you talk about as you go through these different steps and you get to where you drill down more and more and you find and you perfect the plan, when do we get a point where we say, this isn't really something we want to do? Is as you bring people together and then you finalize a plan and so on, I don't see a point where a neighborhood or someone could say, this isn't really something we want to do. Is that going to come in the final vote? Are we now on a path that we will continue, the guardrails will be written and so on, and then we'll come to a vote? Is there a time when somebody can say, like the Triangle, that you're having trouble meeting people, maybe that they're traveling, but as you get into September, October, November, you can't get more than 2 people? Is it when you say, maybe the Triangle isn't interested?
Yeah, I mean, this is an evolution, right? I've tried to, it's hard to explain if you haven't been through it before, but the way that I have seen this work over and over again is if we don't get that kind of groundswell of leadership who really is bought in and excited, and they start to expand the network of that and they become the on the ground messengers. There's nothing I can do or the councilwoman can do to make people want to do it. But there's two things driving us right now. The one most important thing is get the details out. So we now have a lot more, I have a lot more information after these 4 meetings than I did a week and a half ago. A lot more information that helps me price things and structure things. Let's put that into a plan. Let's let people weigh onto a plan. And here's a conceptual framework so you know exactly what this thing is and what it isn't. And you're responding to that rather than just responding to a concept that doesn't really have any structure to it. That's number one, is we want to get that plan. And that plan will largely be ready by November for all the sub areas, with also any consideration of is this a bigger area or not, right? And then people can respond and react to that. And I think the second thing is we are trying to do that at the same time as combating the largest campaign of misinformation I have ever
Jamie, I
encountered.
I don't want to address that misinformation or any of that truly, because I mean, I agree with you. I'm neutral at this point. I am totally neutral in this whole thing. But what I'd like to know is, in the process, where in the process, before it goes to a vote, can a neighborhood say, we really aren't interested? And I go back to the triangle. You don't get the groundswell of people in the triangle that really are even interested in coming to a meeting. When do they say, you know what, we don't want to be included in this? We don't even have enough people that want to come to a meeting.
If that support hasn't demonstrated itself by that November, December meeting, and I don't see a pathway and we don't have neighborhood champions and we haven't experienced any groundswell of support in an area, then this ends with engagement, because the next step is not a vote. The next step is petitioning, city council, and election, right? So you don't want to spend the money doing that if it's just not going to happen.
And I totally agree with that. But who decides there's not a groundswell of information? Let's just take Cherry Creek
working
North,
group.
because I'm in Cherry
The working
Creek North.
group. The working group will decide that with our support.
The working group, which can be people pro and con to this, as part of the working group, can say, we're not interested in moving forward. Or does the working group get to decide for everybody in the neighborhood? Yeah, I mean, I have a little bit of a hard time.
I think you're conflating this into something that is finite, right? Like if there's 10,000 people in the neighborhood, 10,000 people have to weigh in before we decide. I mean, it's like running a political campaign, right? We're gonna test the waters. We're gonna litmus test, where is that? And it's not, everybody has sort of turned this into like, well, Cherry Creek East gets to decide as a whole, or Cherry Creek, North gets to decide if our entire neighborhood is. It might not look like that. It might be that 10 blocks of Cherry Creek North wants it and the remainder of it doesn't, or a certain subsection does, and we carve the boundaries to do that. So I think.
So you're saying
you're asking for, is there going to be a vote to move forward to petition or not?
I guess I don't understand for me, the process, once the working groups have started, it's really kind of inevitable that it's going to go on to petitioning and so on. I don't see a point.
It's not inevitable.
And I don't see where that happens. So is it after all the working groups and the plan is made more finite?
Yes, exactly.
So you have a finite plan and you bring that back to the neighborhood working group?
You bring it back to the community. We're doing a full community engagement where we'll postcard everybody, invite them to come to a session in November.
And so at that meeting, how do you decide if there's enough support in that meeting to go forward? You're not going to take a vote, you said. So how do you decide? All I'm asking is the process. Who makes the determination that there's enough support to go forward? What
It
is
will
the
be the
determining
working group.
factor?
The working group and my take on it, having done 75 of these, right, is
No, I'm not
I think that
questioning.
there's enough.
I mean,
I'm not
Amy,
saying you
I'm
are.
totally
I'm not saying you
saying
are
I'm
not.
not
I'm saying you're
questioning
asking a
your
question,
expertise.
wanting an
I'm
answer.
not.
There's not going to be a vote.
So there's
There's
not
not going to
an
be a
answer.
survey. It's going to be the working group and those folks who are on the ground in their neighborhood, having had now months of conversations, and us sitting down and saying, the feedback from the community was 100% we're against this. Like it's still a huge campaign of opposition. We haven't seen our neighbors emerge. There aren't enough of us that can get this over the finish line. And we stop there. Or it may be we've through this process, we've gained more supporters. We believe that there's a groundswell of support that we can nurture and incubate. We, as the leaders in this neighborhood, are going to would like to help drive this forward to the next step, which would be a petition.
So the working groups are the working groups that have been established. I missed it because I was traveling, but the first one that was virtual and now the ones that are coming were the working group that makes the decision.
This
Or is
last
the
week was the
working
working group.
Right. So that last week working group, now we're going to have meetings at Bromwell School for Cherry Creek North, right?
Mhm.
The people that are manning the tables and so on, they're the working group. Is that the working group?
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So the people that were at that initial meeting, and some of us that missed it because we were traveling, are going to be part of the second working group. We're the working group that makes the decision at the end of the day. We
Yes.
come forward and say, in our neighborhood, there isn't this. Okay.
That's right.
And we bring that to you as the consultant.
Yeah,
So that's the
what I
process.
mean. I'm
Okay.
facilitating
All right.
the process, right? Like,
Okay.
as we
That's
explained,
all I've been wanting to know is, for
Yeah.
me, it's all about the process. And if there is a point along the way where we can bring this and say, yeah, we really want it, or no, we don't, before it goes to petitioning, that's all I wanted to know, basically.
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
there will be, because there's no point, and I'm not contracted even to take you to petitioning.
Right.
All I'm contracted to do is do additional listening and these engagement sessions and working with the working group over the fall, so that we can at least get a conceptual, the plan framework together. So people are making decisions based on, something real. I had a meeting with somebody the other day who was like, this is gonna, my home is worth $5 million. This is going to cost me $20,000 a year. And I did the math and it was going to cost 1,700. And they were like, oh, so the truth does matter.
I mean,
in this,
$1,700
right?
is still, it's not pocket change. So,
No, and I'm not saying
right.
it is, but I meant saying somebody told them they were going to pay $20,000 a
Right.
year. That's
I
lot different than 1,700, right?
I absolutely understand that. But,
yeah.
getting to the pricing before we even know if we want it, I mean, I know it's all part of the thing. So for me, I just wanted to know what the process was. That is there a place where people can stop before it goes to petitioning?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Yep.
Anybody else? Questions?
I just saw Meredith said, are the geographic boundaries set in stone? And I just wanted to respond, no. Yeah. Lots of nuance in the boundaries that will come into play as we get closer in.
And so as these continue, I think there's a posting on the the JID website of when these meetings are. So just a quick question about that, because Annette said like she was gone for the first one. Can people still join these groups?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. And
And to be
all of,
clear, the September events by neighborhood, those are for everyone. Even if you're not a member of the working group, they are for the community to come together and respond, put together by the working group. So everyone, no matter whether you want to be on the working group or not, please, for whatever neighborhood you live in, please plan on attending that September. You know, the working groups are open and inclusive. And just to be clear, I'm not there. I am not a part of this. I introduced the concept and hired Jamie so you all could have the conversation with an expert in the room to help. That's it. So JIDs are run by community. They are created by community. And this is a conversation amongst the community.
Hey, anybody else? If not, Jamie, thank you. I think you're still at a board meeting or
am.
something, so we know we're going to
To
lose you.
wrap up
So
to the
thank you
exec.
for
Yeah.
being here. Thank you for your work.
Yep.
Okay, so we will move on in the agenda. We're going to talk a little bit about construction in the bid. So we do know that we've had some, I think we lost Councilwoman Sawyer too. So we know that we've had some issues with construction. I have gotten some calls from people who said, you know, there was supposed to at least be access to the Chicard to pick up my, you know, so-and-so was staying there for a wedding. I couldn't get in, da, da, da. So, and we know it's been hard on the businesses because we talked about, you know, how can we make sure we can support some of those businesses during this time. We also have seen a lot of workers parking in the neighborhood. A couple, we were walking our clan, our dogs, and there were a couple guys getting out of their cars, and we said, you know, this is restricted parking. It is 2 hour. And they said, oh yeah, and in Spanish, one guy said, and my husband knows Spanish fairly well, you know, I've gotten 7 tickets here. Well, you got to know that that person's probably not paying their 7 tickets regularly. And but that does say enforcement has stepped up in the neighborhood, and I've seen more enforcement. But there are these issues with where people are parking, and it's not good for them, it's not good for us, it's not good for the work. And we know that the parking plans were supposed to be filed. We said you need to ask your contractor where you're supposed to park. So so I just think right now with the level of construction that we're seeing, I asked Richard if he would please talk about that and allow people to understand this better and then take that back to their neighborhoods. So thank you, Richard, for agreeing to help us all understand where we're going on this.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I'm going to talk about parking, I'm talking about the major projects. So these are the big full builds, not any tenant finish work or smaller projects. All of the large scale projects are required to submit a parking plan that gets approved by DOTI. So our inspector in our neighborhood is Delfino Rodriguez. Him and Vince Rivera, his boss, we set up a pre-con meeting with that project. And in essence, the city will approve a parking plan where they have a plan to park off site, shuttle employees in, rent space somewhere. If they are parking in the neighborhood, our kind of lever that we could pull on that is get the inspector to shut the job down until they comply with the parking plan. So I think from our perspective, what we can maybe do, Lou, is if we get folks to reach out to me, and everybody should have my contact information, richard@cherrycreeknorth.com, let me know where you're seeing issues. I can probably have our security team try and keep an eye. We just need to be able to follow and say, they got out of that car, they're working at this project. They're at 299 Milwaukee, we'll say. And then we can at least have something that we can go to our inspector with to say, this is what we're seeing, and get a reaction, and actually have a conversation with them that will hold some weight.
Well, and it's difficult because we asked them where they were working, and they said Second in Milwaukee. Well, there are 2 big projects there. And then you've also got Uchiko, which is, it's hard to know exactly what project because I did send you, an email
Yeah.
and I didn't know. And it's not easy. And again, we were trying to warn them. They have every right to park for 2 hours. If as a regular citizen does, but
But they don't.
they're starting to get they shouldn't be parking there, not because, we have an issue with it, but because they should have parking where they're not threatened to come back and move their car every 2 hours and all of
They
that.
shouldn't even be parking in that zone in the residential area. On those major projects, the city does require construction. It's almost a mitigation plan on parking, so they should not be allowed to park and jockey 2 hours from street to street. I think the city would see that as not okay. So I think the best bet is when you have areas that like the 400 block of Clayton or this block is an issue, I think we maybe have our public safety team keep an eye on it, and they'll be the ones that can, it's not hard to spot the construction guy in a vest, and we'll get them, and we'll actually be able to follow them to the project so we know which one they're working at.
Okay. Well, I know
So I
what's
think that's a solve,
happening.
is the city will shut them down. They have on other projects, we've had issues within the metered parking with the exact same thing happening. They have told the general contractor, this is fixed tomorrow, or you're not working.
Yeah.
Lou,
and-
just some highlights
Yeah,
on
Linda?
that. I think you bring up an area. So our October general residence meeting is going to, and I talked to Richard briefly yesterday, going to address this, but we're really looking at it as an overall picture to look at traffic mitigation, parking. We're inviting, Nick will be there, and Mary, I reached out to you. I hope you can join us from a DAB perspective, because most neighbors are not aware of the DAB and what it does. And then a couple of developers so that they can present to the neighbors the whole overall plan and address issues just like Richard said.
Well, and we have had neighborhood meetings, GRMs, with discussions about the DAB, but it's easy to talk about what a benefit that is to our neighborhood before a big construction starts going in. And so right now, and that's great that that's going to be part of October. I did not know that, and so it's good. But right now, I think what we're seeing with the start of Bromwell School, so those of us who live close to Bromwell, there's also half of our block that is unrestricted. So people can park there, and those are gone by like 6:30 in the morning. People will come and park there. I mean, those spaces are gone. So it's it is something that I think regardless of what we're going to present about that, it's and we have presented several times to residents to remind them that there are parking plans that are supposed to be in place. But the question is, right now, with all of this going on, what do we do about it if we know? Because it's not good for the workers. It's not good. They said they had no idea where they were supposed to park. So I think, Richard, it is good to kind of pick this up and maybe either be proactive and talk to some of those GCs
Yep.
and or have your folks come and take a look. I mean, this would not have been, I mean, this was probably, heck, we're retired. We don't walk our dogs really early in the morning. So it may have been like noon or something, but there were people who were just parking. So I don't know what the issue is with those people, but we just want to, we try to let people know, hey, don't park on that side of the street because that's restricted for, permit only. You have 2 hours on this side. And if they're construction workers, we say, you have to move your car in 2 hours or you're going to get ticketed. And that's when the guy said, oh yeah, I've already got 7 tickets. So it's not the first time. So it's not good for them. It's not good for us. It's not good for the projects. So I wanted to bring it up and remind everybody, because we've had these conversations several times about these parking plans that actually went into effect about probably 10 years ago. And so maybe not quite 10 years ago, maybe 8. But but the enforcement of that is difficult. And of course, those impacted most are the people that have to get the tickets. Pretty soon they're in a different part of town, they get a boot. It's not good for anyone. So maybe, Richard, even one thing is, look, if you don't tell your people about it and they get a bunch of tickets, again, you're hurting people who are not highly paid workers. And so a ticket like that, and certainly 7 of them, is a huge risk for these people with their license. And so it's if they're supposed to be told where to park, and so that it makes it easy for them, then they need to make sure somebody really these people really understand it. So
Couldn't agree more, Lou. And we just have to exert some pressure to make it important to them. So I think that's what we'll do is we'll make sure that we can exert some pressure to make it important. And that's just, we've always seen this ebb and flow. It's kind of like that pendulum going back and forth where if we really get on top of it, we'll see some compliance. If you let it go, it'll just go wild because the city won't proactively enforce that construction mitigation plan. They'll react to complaints on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for that. I think it is really important for us to all do what we can to kind of watch the blocks that are obviously the closest to these projects. And right now with Milwaukee, I mean, that could spread over to, I'm sure, Annette, you see that on Adams. And
I do.
so again, it's just figuring it out. I do know, because I got a notice that they're having the top off party at 2nd and Adams. So that's good. They're topping that off. And, Richard, I think you mentioned it doesn't really happen at the TI level, tenant improvement level, but there are lots of workers that work on those TI issues. And they really ought to be included for these larger projects.
That's where, on the large project, TI finish on a large project, we can enforce that, but it's all of the existing buildings that are doing work. There's a lot of construction on, it might be the office building I'm in with finish work, or,
right.
So it's all of those folks that there really is no lever in place as long as they're complying with the city regulations with like paid parking, etc.
Are these the larger projects? I mean, one thought would be that since this whole regulation is not that old, that maybe we look at it and say, you get a TCO and then a CO, but that can still be core and shell, so nothing is done. And maybe those plans need to run through final CO of the build out of majority of the space or something.
We've been operating under that paradigm with a lot of them. So the 255 Fillmore, that was just done. They stayed under the parking mitigation plan until it was turned over to open to the public.
Okay.
So we are seeing that voluntary compliance with a lot of folks. And some projects have parking, like our Cherry Lane project has parking on site. So they're parking most of their workers on site.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anybody have any other thoughts or comments on this? I think that then if you could sort of spread the word that because it helps the workers to be able to know, and it helps all of us to know that they should be parking according to a parking plan that their contractor should tell them about. So if you see something, say something. And if they can tell you where it is, just shoot Richard an email. Is that what I'm hearing, Richard? That would be the best.
Yeah, shoot me an email. And I'm going to have Lanny, our new public safety director, I'll speak with him tomorrow and have him get a plan in place for maybe just doing some surveillance and watching people park and figuring out what projects are the real offenders. Then we can work directly with the project and the city inspector. So
tell us about your new safety person. When did this person come up?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, the bid did hire. We have a new position. It's a director of public safety for the district. And we extended an offer a little over a month ago is when Lanny started. So his name is Lanny Holmes. Comes to us with just great experience. He took the early retirement when the federal government downsized. He ran a 6-state region for FEMA. So he's really going from 6 states down to 16 blocks and appreciating that. So he has a lot of experience in emergency management. Prior to that, he had about 14 years experience in law enforcement, worked law enforcement and homeland security between Georgia and Colorado. So really somebody who we're excited for. And, he's really taking an audit of the district right now on a listening tour, and we'll start coming out with some more strategic planning moving forward.
Great. Well, congratulations on finding such an amazing CV, a guy with an amazing CV like that. So, and that will take a little bit, hopefully, off your shoulders.
Well,
Yes.
nobody's more excited than I am.
I bet that's right. Any other questions for Richard about this? Richard, I do have one, that, the businesses that are impacted, have you been hearing from them of what they need? And could we organize any specific focus on, trying to help these businesses?
Yes, we're hearing from them. It's without a doubt, the district is messy right now. I think it's just the best way to put it. We're very messy with a lot of closures. I would say that the more impacted ones are the ones that are next to the really loud areas where they're losing maybe audio usage because of noise. I know Second and Fillmore is a good example. I know Starbucks will always stay busy, but the patio is probably not quite as busy with the noise when we're pumping concrete. So I would say from a signage and wayfinding plan, we are actually going to do a marketing campaign around the construction disruption, shed a little light on it. If you have to cross the street and you're, without a doubt, I walk it every day. It's inconvenient. At least we can have a campaign that puts a little chuckle on it. So we're going to do a campaign for people walking for that pedestrian experience. Then we're also going to do a campaign to support our stores. But I would say, shop local. And if you have those spots, I think of like the Show of Hands of the world and those ones that are right next to these really impactful projects. Think of them when you're making your business decisions. And we're going to be reaching out to them, doing a little more homework, Lou, and maybe we'll come back to this group with something more specific. I think we're trying to see how we can offset them and what each one needs. And each one's a little different customer base and a different story. So I think Lisa's trying to get her head wrapped around it now.
Well, I think I still think it'd be really fun, and I'd be happy to brainstorm with the crew. But since we have quite a bit of time before our October GRM, I think, doing some kind of having gift cards and things like that where people could win, but do some kind of a scavenger hunt where, find a store where you can find a whatever, and get people out there engaged to really do something, to go visit these stores and make it fun, and also just really bring it to the attention of the people. It's real easy to go on Amazon and pick up something. It is, I see people over at Nordstrom who, they try on everything and they say, I'll just go home and order it online. Doesn't really help the brick and mortar numbers and the people that work there. So, maybe as a part of this whole discussion in October, there could be a plan. We could have something really fun before we kick off the holiday season. So it could be total, fall, or lean into October. Trick or treat, we could go to different businesses that are impacted for trick or treat instead of a scavenger hunt. We could be creative and really bring it to the neighborhoods. I know that with this group, we can get that out to Country Club and Hilltop and Cherry Creek East and Cherry Creek North. And that's a lot of residents to be shaking the tree to say, come and help support these businesses because they're struggling right now.
Yeah, I would say it's a layered effect because the economy is soft right now. We're seeing it in sales tax numbers across the city. So it's already a tough time. The construction certainly doesn't make it easier. We know the outcome is going to be great, but we just want to make sure that those businesses still have open doors when we get to that outcome.
Right.
Can I just make a suggestion, or if there's a contact person who is responsible for making whether he's I don't know, somebody on the crew whose name and number is listed on the sign saying, this is the person as a worker, this is the person you need to contact regarding parking. Give somebody, identify that person. And maybe it's the project manager. But they have enough signage on all of these projects for the workers, and maybe no one will see it. But that way, not only will workers see it, the project manager will know that he's being responsible to it. And then people in the community can contact the project manager saying, they're more aware that there is a parking plan. And I don't know, just a thought. I feel for all these poor businesses that are, not getting the traffic flow for it.
Meredith, I think that could be a good idea for making sure that parking plan information gets out, because they are required to do signs that have certain information on it. And I don't see why that couldn't be added. That's actually I like that idea. So I'll take it back to Dodie.
Any other thoughts? Okay. Well, we are 6:02 right now, and we're sort of at the end of the agenda, and I'll just throw it out. Does anybody have any information that they would like to share about the community or anything that's coming up in their part of the world? Okay.
I don't see Councilwoman Sawyer, but I have, I believe that it is illegal for Coble Homes to constantly put up signs in the right of way, saying this way to our great parking, our great housing. And they put it up every Saturday and take it down every Sunday. But they have permanent sticks in the ground. And it was my understanding that it is legal to post in the right of way. Does anyone know any different?
Needs to have a permit, Meredith. Any sign in the right of way has to be permitted through the city.
Okay.
What about all the anti-JID signs that seem to be appearing in the parkways? I mean, I
Not
know
allowed.
people put them in their yards, and that's, if they want to do that, that's their prerogative, but
No, I don't know on political signs if there's any different regulation in the right of way, but I do know just if the Coble Home sign is similar to like an A-frame sign in the bid. Well, each one technically has to be permitted to be out in the right of way, and they have to meet certain regulations.
And so I keep turning it into 311 and copying Councilwoman Sawyer. And my feeling is at this point they could balance the budget just on that and on finding them. But I don't know if anybody has a thought on how to move it forward. It just irks me because I feel like some people are playing by the rules and some people aren't. So I will continue to ask. Thank you.
Meredith, you also had one question in the chat.
It was about Denver Moves Cherry Creek. It was the money that was from the sale of
that one I think is probably not something that anyone here will have an answer for right now.
Yeah.
Most of those funds, those were actually to run Denver Moves Cherry Creek. So I think the answer is no, but what I wanted to ask was the one that was what is Sander Bike Build event on October 8th on Fillmore?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Richard.
okay. Yeah. So we started out, the first event was last year. The Gart family arranged it. It was a bike build event to donate bikes to charity in honor of Steve Sanders. And so they're moving that event over onto Fillmore this year. We need more capacity to build more bikes. So in essence, they, I forget what nonprofit they tie in with, but they bring the bikes. The bikes are then built on site and then they're delivered to children in need of bicycles.
Very cool. So is that something, how do you publicize that event?
I am not sure what publicity they're doing for it. Let me get back to you on that, Lou. I'm gonna have to ask Lisa because I have not been clued in on that.
They
Okay.
have a flyer up at Enstrom's.
Okay,
And-
so then
Yeah. And it just says that it's on Fillmore Plaza from 9 until 3, but it doesn't really, it's something called Bike Gives. I don't know, 1 to 3. I think they're giving away bikes, but I don't even know what they want in terms of people to participate. So I don't understand what it is. Okay.
let me find out and I'll shoot an email out to both Lou and Meredith.
Or I mean, just to help them publicize it. It sounds
Yeah.
like it's a fabulous thing for getting kids bikes. So, you
Yeah, it
know,
was a great build last year. I want to say they built a few hundred last year.
okay. Well, if there's one, I mean, there probably people can drop off bikes and they can get rebuilt or something, and maybe people who no longer
they're
are riding
all brand
bikes will
new.
want to donate it.
They're building all brand new bikes. So basically they get the brand new bikes. and
cool.
we're basically assembling brand new bikes to go out to kids. And I want to say they tie them into schools that are economically challenged and economically challenged neighborhoods. And that's where the bikes go. And kid gets a bike and a helmet, I believe.
Okay. Well, fabulous. Good work on keeping the good works going. So anybody else have anything anything else they want to announce? Otherwise, we'll bring this meeting to a close a little bit early. Seeing none, I will thank you all for being here, and we'll get this uploaded as soon as I can make sure I can figure out how to do that more efficiently. So thanks for your patience on that. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thanks, bye, everybody.